I missed y'all. I legit missed y'all, man. I hope that you guys have been able to binge. I'm starting to get emails and tweets about, where's the next episode, man. And I just want to tell y'all, in the last few weeks, man, I have had some things have happened in my life. I've dealt with death heavily, and I want to say that some people, we minimize so much that we do, but I want to tell y'all, random acts of kindness and just concern, man, you just don't know. And actually one really, really low day, man, and I want to give a shout out to my man. You know who you are, he just asked me a question like, what's up with the show? And he asked me on a day in an hour that was really dark and sad for me. And the thought that what I did mattered to someone who lived in a whole nother, I'm talking about thousands of miles away from me, that he cared enough not only to be checking up and keeping up with me, but to actually be like, hey, we need some more content, or how you been, what's going on with you, man. That just, you don't understand how much of a blessing that is. So today is going to be a little different, but I just want to share a couple things with you guys while we getting the podcast and everything back up and running fully charged, man. We got some dope guests this season. We just got a lot of dope stuff coming up, man. So I really, really want to just encourage you guys to binge if you haven't heard all the episodes, share with friends, and then start some conversations at home, some random Bible studies, and challenge one another for some different concepts, man. But it's a few things I want to talk to y'all about today, man. And the first thing is just about timing is everything, and that don't you ever ignore the opportunity to be at the right place at the right time for God to get the glory for somebody else. So we're gonna have a dope show today. I'm excited. One of the things that I've noticed and I recognize is that everybody has a life. Life keeps going on. Things happen. You're busy. Like, we all have a right reason. People are rude. People don't want to be bothered. There's just so much information floating around, and this can be a distraction from being exactly who you need to be, exactly at the right time that somebody else needs you to be, so that God can get the glory on the back end. You feel me? Now, I say all that to say that, let me give you an example. It's a friend of mine who is a rapper. He's an artist, and he's one of those types that just is really gung-ho about ministry and being effective, and not just being seen, but actually being able to reach somebody and pull them to begin to become compelled about God, to want to read more, want to grow more, want to just figure out, like, how can I be better at this? How can I do X, Y? You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to touch people the way that God reached out for him through maybe an artist or somebody speaking or somebody just in general. And the one thing that was super dope for me that he was sharing his testimony with was that he hasn't put out a lot of music recently, but he's been able to be used at work, at the grocery store, just in random places where a lot of people will feel stagnant because, oh man, like, even with me, I was frustrated a little bit, like, man, I haven't done a podcast in a while. Or some people say, man, I ain't did a show in a while. People not calling me for engagements, or, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. And because of that, that means God can't use me. And I want to tell you, man, that is nothing but, listen, your purpose, your call, what makes you special. God don't need you to be on a card. When I say card, for those who don't know what I mean, they don't need you to be on a flyer. You don't have to host something. God just needs you to be sensitive enough to the Spirit to be exactly what is needed at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? And God can say something to you like, hey, this person in the checkout right next to you, they got about 6 items. It's about $10. Hey, pay it. You know what I'm saying? Be a blessing. Because they may be getting some things that they need, but they may also have to sacrifice something else that they need because money can just be tight. You just don't know. And if you're waiting to, oh man, I got a show next week to be a blessing, or I got church next week when I preach, or when I dance, or whatever you do that you do for God, if you limit it to that place, then you'll never be in the right place at the right time. You'll just be in the right place when it's time, which means that God has to wait for you to get on the show and get a platform for him to use you when you are a living, walking, breathing weapon for the kingdom, and you are a living, breathing blessing no matter where you are. I'm talking about you are a ticking time bomb of dopeness. You can really, I'm talking about you can be a blessing to anybody at any time, but you got to be willing to be open, to not wait so heavily on a platform or some type of a show, or you know what I'm saying, or a performance or a drama. Like you don't need all. You just got to be alive. If you're alive and breathing, if you've given your life to God, then you can be powerful. But look, I want to touch on that real quick because there are in this time, and I know it's like, oh man, you random, but I'm just hitting y'all with a real quick one, and then I'm gonna break it down. There are good people and there are godly people. A good person will do the right thing because, hey, this is the right thing. I'm going to feed this homeless person because it's the right thing. Or I want to show people that I do these things. And what will happen is somebody say, hey, that was dope that you did that. You're a good person. Thank you. And that's all you got. But now when you do things for God, whether you want to or not, then the difference becomes is it doesn't matter who sees you. It doesn't matter how it feels because you did it to please God, which means now, one, whether you get something or not, you've just been a blessing to somebody. And two, you're not limited to the reactions or the recognition of man, but now that maybe God may lose some favor for you, but you're not doing it for God's favor because then that means you're trying to play God like an ATM. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I put something in you, Lord, and I'll be able to take it out. That ain't how it go down. But you gotta be ready. You know what I'm saying? The Bible, it's funny because the Bible talks about how the devil he waiting to devour. He's standing there. He pacing. He waiting to get you. And then on the other end, for a lot of us believers or some of us, man, who have platforms, we not just waiting for opportunity. We're waiting for our opportunity. So we not just saying like, man, how can I bless somebody today? We like, man, I got a show in a couple weeks that's gonna be crazy. We're gonna go hard for God, and that's what it's gonna be. So then for those whole 2 weeks, you at work, you at all these places, you interact, and you walking around the world. You're in the world, and you have been a blessing to anybody because you're not on the show today. Now, I'm never random, so let me tell y'all where this came from. Being a blessing at any time. Because timing is everything. So yesterday, going through clothes and doing, I found some money. Came up on a couple dollars, like $20. And so I'm driving, and it's a homeless person standing at the stop sign. And I immediately, felt my, that $20. I'm like, man, because I usually try to give, or if I got a burger from it, I go grab an extra burger or grab some coffee or, But sometimes I struggle with that because, there's some people who are out here playing games or lying. But the one thing about giving is that it really has nothing to do with who's receiving it. It actually has something to do with the character of the person. Because I could desire to want to be a blessing to someone who don't want a blessing. So that means just like Christ, you know what I'm saying? When he went home, and, when it talks about, you hear all the time how people say, oh, a prophet wasn't even